Hey guys, All in Crypto here, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for another YouTube video. I hope everybody is having a fantastic weekend so far. Today, guys, I want to do something a little bit different. I want to talk to you about two of my favorite DeFi projects. I'm going to tell you what these projects are, why they're my favorite, and why I believe not only throughout the remainder of this year, but into the future, these projects are going to do exceptionally well. One reason I am such a bull on DeFi is because of just how small the space is as a whole. $70 billion are locked in terms of market cap in the DeFi sector. So of all the DeFi tokens out there, they are only with a combined value worth $70 billion, whilst the overall crypto market is 1.4. It did go well over $2 trillion. So you can see there is already a big room for growth, and we'll quickly switch to the DeFi tab, guys. $70 billion, $70.2 billion. You can see Uniswap, Chainlink, Wrapped, Bitcoin, and DAI take up actually quite a large part of that. The two projects that I want to talk to you today about are Compound and Aave. They are both the same thing. They are lending and borrowing protocols. Now, a lot of you are new to the crypto space and don't know what DeFi is. DeFi is just a decentralized version of the traditional financial system. So what you can do in the financial world currently, where you need KYC, you need to be accepted in order to do these. You know that is discrimination at every which point. Decentralized finance essentially aims to break down those bridges or break down those walls and essentially allow anybody who has credibility, and in these two, in Compound and Aave's case, anybody that has cryptocurrency that they can borrow and lend off of. So we're going to talk to you about what these projects are. One thing that I want to point out straight off the bat is Aave is only valued at $3.8 billion in terms of market cap, and Compound is 2.3. Aave has $16.5 billion locked into it, so it has nearly five times, more than five times its market, or nearly five times its market cap actually in the locked into the Aave protocol. Compound, I believe, has 12.3, so it has over five times its market cap locked into the protocols. Now, what are Aave and we're going to get into the charts, guys, because I actually believe that from a charting point of view, Compound and Aave, this is Aave, this is Compound, actually look beautiful. And the DeFi as a whole, this is the DeFi index that's provided by FTX, has actually broken out of its descending resistance for the first time, and I believe we are going to see some big moves coming, ladies and gentlemen. This is Chainlink, by the way, which is another DeFi protocol, and I would definitely argue that you can see similarities between this is Aave, this is Compound, and Chainlink before it went on to do this, ladies and gentlemen. So I am very, very bullish on these projects. Now, what is Compound and Aave? I'm going to show you, and I'm going to talk to you about a strategy that I'm actually going to implement. I'm not going to make a big video on this because I want to be the stunt dummy for you guys eventually. Ultimately, I want to try these out. In regards to DeFi, I've provided liquidity on Uniswap, PancakeSwap. I've used a little bit of DAI and MakerDAO. I've obviously used plenty of DEXs to sort of swap in and out of tokens. But as far as DeFi goes, it's going to be the first time for me using a borrowing and lending protocol like Compound and Aave, but I believe I have a strategy that is actually going to do quite well, and it ultimately depends on the overall market and the direction that moves in, because there are risks, certainly in regards to borrowing on these protocols associated with them. So let me just explain to you what these protocols are. First of all, they're essentially what you can do, and we'll switch over to the apps on both of them, is you connect it could be a MetaMask wallet that you're using, it could be any of these wallets here essentially, it could even be your Coinbase wallet, which is very, very unique for Compound. And essentially what you can do is you can supply your tokens to the Compound protocol or the Aave protocol, and you will essentially get rewarded as a result of this. So you can see some of the rates here. The APYs are pretty appalling in regards to providing liquidity, but they're significantly higher, of course, for borrowing. Now, what you can do, and essentially how this works, ladies and gentlemen, is you actually put your tokens, you actually deposit your tokens with the protocol, and you can essentially lend them out and you earn this reward. But not only do you earn this reward, you earn the native token reward. So you will actually earn Compound as a kind of benefit of lending or borrowing. So you can do the same on, of course, Compound, and you can do the same on Aave. Now, Aave gives you an option for you to actually do it on their kind of AMM, which essentially will reward you, here's some of their rates. So for example, DAI, if you deposit and lend out, you get 2.3%, but you also get 1.2% in Aave token. If you borrow it, you have to obviously pay an APY of 3.5%, but you get 1 point. So I'm going to talk to you about the strategy. Also with Aave, which is very cool, you can actually sort of yield farm Polygon. So if you deposit your Polygon, you'll get 1.2% plus 3.6% in Polygon. If you borrow it, you'll get 4.9%. You'll have to pay, and you'll receive 1.2% in Polygon. So I think there is definitely a use for these cryptos. I think the overall DeFi space as a whole has essentially, to me, looked like it's broken out. It's come back and tested its support, and I'm waiting to see the next kind of move for the DeFi space. I think that there are definitely similarities between Chainlink and early day kind of Chainlink in its kind of structure, and both Aave and Compound. And essentially what Chainlink did after that was huge. People look at these charts often and they go, whoa, it's done a lot, but it did a lot back here and still went on to do more. And I think both of these charts to me look to have bottomed here. So I'm very, very bullish on what's to come essentially for these projects. I think the DeFi space, we had a brilliant DeFi summer last year. I think we could be in for a bit of a treat this year. And let me just talk to you about my strategy. Now, I don't want anybody to, definitely do not take this as financial advice and go out and do this, because it is somewhat risky. If the market tanks, your collateral will essentially get liquidated, because you would have borrowed in terms of a monetary value more than you have collateralized, or if it gets to that equilibrium point. So let's say, for example, I put 100 grand in to these projects, and I essentially put it in basic attention token, for an example. I put 100 grand in. I'll be earning rewards on that. I'll also be earning the 2.15% in Compound token. I can then actually borrow by collateralizing this 100 grand. I believe it's up to 80%. So I can borrow another 80 grand, which I will also earn 13.8% in terms of Compound token, but essentially I will have to pay back 8.07%. So essentially your interests kind of cancel, providing that the Compound token and your basic attention token doesn't lose value. So 100 grand, let's say for example, the 100 grand and I've borrowed the 80, I've only got 20 grand to work with. So let's say there's a 20% drop in basic attention token. You will lose your 80 grand, because what will happen is the smart contract will execute, and it will actually evaporate that capital to basically secure the loan. So I know this sounds complicated. It's a lot more simple than it is. So if I put 100 grand in and I borrow 80, I've got 20% equity in that loan. So there's 20% to play with. If basic attention token drops by 20%, or for example, the APY is eating into that and gets below my equity of 20% goes, your initial 100 grand will get sold essentially, because the monetary value will not be able to back up the loan, and the smart contract will essentially deem it as you can't pay it back, and it will execute. But the interest rates kind of cancel each other out. So as long as the market moves up, you're in a very, very safe space. Now, I wouldn't really recommend doing it with the basic attention token. I'd perhaps look into some different tokens to perhaps do it with. I mean, there's plenty out there, but you can actually reborrow again if you then take that 80% and put it back in, and you can keep doing that. There are plenty of ways you can yield farm these, but ultimately the real risk comes with if your equity gets dissolved essentially. So if you put 100 grand, they must have something going on with Gemini Dollar, Aave. There must be a partnership or something going here, because they offer the most APR in terms of receiving Aave token for Gemini. So they must have some sort of a partnership going there. I'm not sure, but you could essentially, what you could do is you could put 100 grand in, you could borrow your 80 grand or whatever the allowance is for you to sort of collateralize, and you could then go and transfer that to an exchange and buy something, because you ultimately get to keep. So one thing that I didn't mention here is, let's say you do get liquidated, you will still have your basic attention token that you borrowed, because that would have then been paid for by the collateral. I hope this is making sense, and I hope you can see how there could be, you essentially could put 100 grand in and you could end up with 107 or 180. But if the monetary value of that initial collateral goes down 20%, you will get liquidated and just get left with your 80 grand's worth of tokens, if that makes sense. So I hope this is making sense, guys, and I can really see a use case for this. I think the DeFi space as a whole is very, very small. It's largely unknown. Most people I know that own crypto have never touched DeFi. They've never even traded with Uniswap. They don't even own a MetaMask. You need a MetaMask in the crypto space, guys, because it will allow you to interact with the DeFi sector. You can have a trust wallet. You can have a number of other things that will allow you to do this. But ultimately, guys, this is very, very exciting. And I am going to trial these out for you. I'm going to put money in both Compound and Aave. I'm going to essentially borrow against them. I'm going to work it all out and show you a practical version of it. So don't go jumping in there based on this. I'm not recommending anybody does this, but this is a strategy that I am personally going to try out. I know plenty of people that have tried it out. I know plenty of people that I'm speaking to now that kind of have, helped me set up Excel spreadsheets to kind of work the whole thing out. Remember, the APY can change. Lots of things going on. And I've also spoke to a number of accountants. Nobody really seems to know, because you can actually, for borrowing, you can kind of get tax relief if you're borrowed to a certain amount. But because this is not really traditional finance, they're kind of unsure about whether that's a tax, how the kind of tax man looks at it, essentially. So lots going on, but ultimately, guys, back to these sort of tokens rather than the kind of, if you look at the fact there's only $3.8 billion in terms of market cap for Aave and 2.3 in terms of Compound, I think they've got a lot of room to grow. They both hold significantly, nearly 5 times as much as that on the actual protocol. Both charts to me look to have bottomed out and actually broken out. So very, very bullish, guys. And ultimately, I think the overall DeFi space has actually broken out. That's certainly true if you look at the index on FTX. FTX is a very interesting exchange. I'm actually in there 3 times Ethereum token, because you can't get liquidated from that. It's just that you kind of bear the brunt of the volatility. So that's all I have for you guys. 2 very interesting projects. I hope you've enjoyed this video and it hasn't been too confusing. This is all somewhat new to me. It's just, I'm trying to help as many people as possible explore the DeFi space. And I think these 2 tokens, borrowing and lending, sounds very boring and monotonous. But there's a world of wonder out there that the cryptocurrency market's coming up with. And if you look at rich people traditionally, they own assets, and what they do if they want cash is they don't sell those assets, they borrow against them, because the assets tend to go up. We've been in a macro bull market across the board with crashes along the way for years and years and years now, and ultimately this is how people continue to accumulate. So if you believe the cryptocurrency market is going to continue to go up, and if we had a definite that it was, you've got to remember, I could be wrong, guys, even though I do believe we're only at that halfway point for the overall bull run. It's somewhat a safe bet. The problem comes if the cryptocurrency market goes down and the tokens go down in value, and you lose that equity that you have essentially backing those loans, because then you will get liquidated in a sense. So that's all I have for you guys. I'm going to love and leave you on that note. I hope you guys have found this useful. If you have, a like is always appreciated. So as a comment, let me know your thoughts, your concerns, questions you want answered in the comment section. I will get round to them, because this is a space that I am very interested in. You can buy both Aave and Compound on Coinbase, I believe, Binance, Gemini. You can buy them across a number of exchanges. And ultimately, I think these tokens alone, without actually even using the protocols, are going to do very, very well. And that's what the purpose of this video is about, to tell you that these tokens, I believe, are going to do significantly well over the coming year and into the future, regardless of whether you want to use the protocol or not and kind of farm it. All I have for you in this video, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to love and leave you on that note. If you've enjoyed the content, a like is always appreciated. So as a comment, and I'll see you all in the next YouTube video. Thanks a lot for watching, guys.